TB&J! 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 It's TB&J!
We should still under.
Studio update. I installed new traps. There should be no Bigfoots in this episode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of the TB&J podcast. Across from me is Troy Brittingham.
Across from me is Jeff Ackerman.
Thanks. No jokes. Next to me is Chris Carroll in studio.
All right.
Yeah, boy. And over there is D.
Hello.
With his giant penis. We're all here together in person.
All right.
Yet again. I love it. Today we're covering Kevin Smith's Masters of the Universe Revelations, which is a spiritual successor to the original show.
And direct sequel.
And we're covering all of it. So, last chance to turn back if you don't want spoilers.
He's fiddling with his phone.
Even though
summary coming at you.
most of the big spoilers
it's across
happen
the
in
room.
first
Oh, he
episode.
wasn't ready for this. Oh, no, he's running. He's running. He's
Here we go.
reaching.
So Masters of the Universe Revelations episodes 1 through 5. Last chance. All spoilers ahead. So here's the overall summary of the first 5 episodes as best I could do here. Kevin Smith's Masters of the Universe Revelation begins by recapping the 1980s original adventures via animated stills of the classic 80s box artwork. It then establishes the status quo of the primary characters of Mo2 Revelations, which include, but are not limited to, He-Man and his alter ego Adam, Prince of Eternia, Teela, her father Man-at-Arms, Orko, and Cringer. Also present as always are villains Skeletor, Evil Lyn, and a host of beloved side characters found throughout the original series.
Pardon any thunder you might be hearing. We're in the middle of a thunderstorm.
After a formulaic plot like the ones featured in the 80s
No,
TV
that's
show,
actually just the sound of my
first
cheeks clapping.
episode pivots from the 80s era atmosphere of zero stakes to a much more high stakes adventure. Castle Grayskull is revealed to be nothing more than an illusion, hiding the true power of the universe. The Sword of Power is split into 2. The hero's identity is revealed to Teela. Both Skeletor and He-Man are killed, and both Man-at-Arms and Teela are basically excommunicated from the Kingdom of Eternia.
And that's just the first episode, you guys.
Yeah. Episodes 2 through 5 explore the
big
travels
clap of
of
cheeks.
the now independent Teela as she is tasked with saving the last remnant of magic left on Eternia. Teela is joined by a caravan of heroes and former villains, old and new, along the way, facing off against a cavalcade of villainous 80s action figure reimaginings. After a series of episodic adventures featuring far higher stakes than the original series, including the apparent death of heroic characters and the return of Adam from the eternal reward of the heavenly Preternia, Skeletor also returns to stab Adam in the back, obtain the Sword of Power, and finally, in the end of the last episode, call upon its namesake to make him the most powerful being in the universe. Cut to credits, and when does this series come back? Probably not till next year.
Dude,
What
so
do we think?
we watched this episode together because you came over for a bit of a impromptu gathering / small housewarming because I just moved, and we watched it on
That's
my couch.
code word for banging.
we
Studio.
That was a
Damn.
big old clap of cheeks
That's the
right
sound
there.
of thunder over Castle Grayskull. Yes, very good, D.
You have
Oh my God, he's so buff now.
Jesus.
you have the power to blow out my audio levels.
Sorry
Look
about
how
that.
buff D is now. D-man over there.
D, nice loincloth.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah.
It came with the lightning.
Why'd you have to turn into Sylvester Stallone?
Wait, wasn't there a live-action He-Man where he was played by Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No, I went
Ah,
to
who
the
fucking
There's
knows?
a movie called Last Action Hero, though, where I took his picture in the iconic Terminator 2
I see.
picture. It's his best film.
I had to switch accents, so that wasn't easy. Holy crap.
We might have
Thor
to
is
pause the
pissed.
show.
Nah. We'll play through the tornado.
I usually would say they're not going to hear the thunder, but yeah.
You're definitely going to hear that. We are in the middle of a very severe thunderstorm. Tornado warnings as well, because, that's just global warming
And
for
for
you.
some fucking reason, we're doing a podcast.
It was Dolph Lundgren,
What
by the way.
Dolph Lundgren, thank you. But I will say, as far as the show goes, it feels a little campy, but that's He-Man, right? That's
He-Man feels campy?
Yeah, I know, right? How weird.
What?
But like, whenever the main characters seem to be in a sticky situation through the first 5 episodes, at least, at the very last second, somebody swoops in to save the day in like a Deus Ex Machina style.
Right, but they also sometimes they swoop in to save the day, and then just fucking die. Like,
Wait a minute, what are you talking about? Are you talking about this series or the original?
This one, like they're on the boat and they're cornered by Merman, played by Kevin Conroy, and then here comes Man at Arms just on a boat, just killing them all.
Episodically, I think that happened, and that's where I'm just like, there's a lot of the things. But in episode 4, Orko
fucking dies.
Fucking goes out like a beast. I fucking loved that scene as a guy that watched those more or less live. They were like that got me. I was like, awesome job. He Gandalf the Grey that shit. And
I mean, Orko's
and
also one of those like 50-50 like. Some
Episode
people
5,
think he's like a Jar Jar kind of thing, where some people hate him.
He absolutely is like an annoying character, but like from the get go, I think they make the right choice of just make like. But this is the thing is like I think I was in the summary. The thing is where it's like everything's status quo at the beginning, like the beginning, literally from head to toe, everything's status quo.
Yep.
Tila is even like thinner with her hair up and kind of womanly compared to like episode 2 where she's clearly like buffed up. They draw her beefier, and I like.
And she's got a more modern haircut. Where it's like
she has
on
the
side.
modern haircut, and this is just like right there. I can just hear here's the groans from.
That's
the
actually
internet. So like
the internet is the lightning in the background.
Right. Like they are so angry about this positive review that I'm gonna give this shit because you know what, I really enjoyed this. As somebody who watched the series, I was like, I get 100%. I feel like where Kevin Smith was generally coming from, in the sense that he's just like. The one interview is like I think from AV Club, which was like Kevin Smith says, I watched it. It was the fucking 80s. I was a little old for it, but it was the 80s, and I totally get this sentiment of like you watched anything genre. Like if there was a superhero, I watched some fucking show that aired after what was it? The X-Files called Mantis, which was the dumbest fucking show. Thank you. Perfect. So like it was all bad. But like you just watched it because it was genre and it was and you would watch it and they have these great character designs that are just absurd.
And all these shows are just toy sale, like
right?
toy commercials.
So and it has all this. And all I want to say is that it just never lived up to the hype. It just never. He would watch it and be like, well, there's nothing happening. Like there's nothing going on. This. I think very purposely felt much more like the Game of Thrones version of He-Man Masters of the Universe with a continuing storyline. Like, I don't know. What did you guys think overall?
Before I go there, so I Googled the cast list just to have it, and Google autofills your search results.
Okay.
The third autofill was, is Masters of the Universe Revelation woke?
Oh, yeah. No, there's a lot of that
and
shit.
the top answer for that is, as detailed by Yahoo and comicbook.com, fans are vexed the show is being woke and emphasizing Tila over He-Man. But in an interview with us, Kevin Smith explains Tila is front and center because she had untapped potential.
It's so woke when Man at Arms saved her like 12 times. Like,
yeah, right? Get the fuck out of here.
Had she just led the show for some points. And granted, you can have plenty of criticism about the fact that Sarah Michelle Gellar is not my favorite actress. And this is coming from a OG Buffy, Joss Whedon. Like I always say that my least favorite part of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer universe was Buffy. Like a lot of that fell on the characters themselves, but like she's just not top tier actress in my opinion, and is everything 90s that is not as cool to me.
She's even married to Freddie Prinze Jr. I didn't make that up. That's literally her husband.
Yeah,
you can't get more 90s 2000s.
I'm so glad that they made it work, and I hope that they are like perpetual Gen Xers just living in the ether. But like, you know what?
He like skateboards into the kitchen. He has a backwards hat, and he's just like,
Poochie.
"Hey, what's up?"
Like Poochie from The Simpsons.
Yeah. He's always holding a boombox for some reason.
Seriously.
They have a fight. He goes outside her window and just raises it, and she's just like, "Get the fuck in the house! What are you doing?"
Side note.
It's 4 in the morning.
The Ultimate Comics version of the Avengers, called the Ultimates, when it came out in like early 2000s, whole premise was. Most of the reimaginings of the Avengers that you see today, especially Nick Fury as Samuel Jackson, are all based in this series, and one of the dated portions of the premise is that Betty Ross or whatever, incredible Bruce Banner, his who they were clearly trying to get Steve Buscemi to play at the time because they kept mentioning that he would look like him. She's on a date with Freddie Prinze Jr. When he turns into Hulk, he's like trying to find Freddie Prinze, and it's actually really it's like Mark Millar, like the guy who did Kick-Ass.
Oh, nice.
And actually it's a really awesome scene. Captain America takes out the Hulk. Like it's pretty beast scene. But like anyway, side note for that, just wanted to mention. We've dated the podcast effectively by mentioning Freddie Prinze Jr. But yeah, she's not my favorite.
Yeah, sorry,
but
we're
that
20
is a
years
legitimate
out of the loop.
criticism, not that it's like it's woke.
Which like,
get the-
can you
why?
not have a strong female character now?
No,
without being
you
criticized?
can't. It's not possible.
They're they're such snowflakes. Like it's just like we are not like there's just a lot of people that hate. I listen to these neckbeards, like literal neckbeards.
Yeah.
like
It's also,
watching them. Just
I went and like after I finished watching it because I don't know a ton about He-Man. I know maybe.
I knew a couple
probably
names
yeah.
just from like
Motu.
knowing the.
Yeah.
By
I know,
the way, Motu, because it's Masters of the Universe, it's always been called that. It's not He-Man. It is
Okay.
like brought to that, and I think that's a really important point to be like, you know what? I always thought of
it's
this as a property. That poster that they show, and the reason I wanted to keep the stills in the beginning was because that picture, like I had on the wall, that like filled my imagination as a kid.
We get
So,
it,
like,
D. You're old.
I'm just saying that like. It was always Masters of the Universe.
Right.
It's not He-Man, and I want to make
like-
that point just at the get-go because I
There's
think
so many
It's
other
like
characters.
it's like if
this
you
entire
saw
thing.
it's like if you saw a Star Wars movie and you're like, "Where's Luke Skywalker?" It's like it's not called
Like, I
Luke
wanna-
Skywalker.
Excuse me, you literally just highlighted everyone's complaint with
Yes.
like 7 or 9.
that
Don't
was a
even-
solid point, Troy.
But like, but I was trying to watch like a few like reviews of it to see if I could find like some things that I missed out on or like an Easter egg or something like that or something interesting. There is not a video on YouTube right now that has anything but that conversation.
Absolutely.
And if you look at Rotten Tomatoes, not that Rotten Tomatoes is like the
They're not a real authority, but
yeah,
you know.
it has 95%.
Where you at, New Rockstars?
Last I saw was 95% critic score and 34% audience score.
Exactly. And just to highlight your point again, a game series near and dear to my heart that you also enjoy is Gears of War.
Sure.
The newest Gears of War game that came out a year and a half ago, 2 years, Gears
Kate
5,
Diaz.
centers around Kate Diaz's character from the games and follows her and
Not
her
only
story.
a female character, not entirely white.
Exactly. And it pivots from playing as the main character's son from the original
You're either
trilogy.
all or nothing.
Jesus. But you play as
Sorry,
You-
I was possessed there for a moment.
You play as Kate Diaz in 5. They introduced so many new mechanics and so much better storytelling, and it's just the best Gears game they've ever made. But because the campaign centered around Kate Diaz, it just got trashed in the reviews, which sucks because it's such a great fucking game.
I think 3 is still better. But 5 is 2. 5 is second.
No, 5 is
Well,
5.
like, if there's these bad reviews, then maybe they just didn't like it.
Yeah, maybe
they
you're just
people
wrong.
just didn't like it. You know,
I find
Maybe-
it hard-
What does that say?
I find it hard to compare things like previous movies or previous games with the newer iterations if it's been long enough, because I feel like I look at the old ones through rose-colored glasses.
I think we're putting the cart before the horse. I think we want to like put out there and say like, yes, the whole conversation has been about this, but let's take their argument for what it is at its best, right? Like take the best argument that's out there. Like what they're trying to say is that like, listen, maybe it has bad reviews because it's just not that good. Was it not that good? Like I enjoyed it. I don't know what to. I don't like. One of my favorite comments that I saw was just somebody who said, "First time I showed my kid He-Man, and he enjoyed it." And I would say
Right.
the same exact thing with mine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, awesome. Like, stop.
what it needs
It's
to be.
not for you, dude. Like, it's for them, and awesome like you, like me, like. You can like it or not, but like it's not necessarily your generation. It's my nostalgic generation. I'm supposed to be watching it with my kid, and I am.
Right.
Like, so
That's what
I don't
they
know
did
what
with
you
the,
want.
The newer
Neck-
Toy Story
like-
movies were done like that as well. It was made for the kids, but it's also like, hey, remember all the old stuff? Like, yeah. And
Let's see how it does with the kids, but
Yeah,
I get what they're saying. Maybe that like this is, who's gonna watch it is gonna be my generation,
Right.
right? And the kids are playing Fortnite and they don't care. But I'm just like, I look at Fortnite and I'm like,
Oh my
He-Man
God.
is Fortnite, dude.
Are they
Like,
going to put He-Man and
I was like,
Teela
there's
in
a guy
Fortnite?
that just like his neck extends. Like that was his. It's just like that's all. It's like it just gets
what
longer
was
like
that
a
character's
giraffe.
name?
neck
Extendar.
Man, it's like NECA break a neck or something. It's like wreck a neck. It's like something. They're all bad. They're the worst names.
I was looking through named characters in the He-Man universe, and one's like Mechanic, but with all K's. It's like really
Oh man, he'd be real powerful in Mortal Kombat.
I'll be honest.
He's got so many K's.
The only other.
Oh, we're all getting the
gosh.
alerts on our phone.
Oh wow, we are.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the last podcast that's ever been aired.
Wait, is that? Sorry, the purge just started.
Wait, we all just dissed those warnings real quick. Did anybody read them?
Tornado warning, 7:30 something.
We know.
7:30 something.
Our phones just said a tornado is above you. We're just going to talk about He-Man.
They're gonna find these tapes like Cloverfield.
And it's just going to be four idiots
It's
talking
just,
about He-Man.
Get out. He-Man like monsters. Sorry, Masters of the Universe.
And then they're gonna go online, and people are gonna be like, "See what happens when you say cool things about He-Man revelations."
Fuck around and find out, man.
Fucking FCWs.
God himself is like, nah, guys.
Guys, like, even I know that's trash.
Wow. Does
God
anybody
would
recall
hate
what I was talking about? Fortnite. Oh, Fortnite, right.
Yeah, Fortnite.
So
You're really good at it.
These characters
Good
are
flossing.
basically made like the same as them. Like they're just obnoxious. Like the only property that is similar to this to any standard is the Ninja Turtles, where they were just like throw slime and like an ant or a bug or like just name every
big
spider.
fat robot guy with a brain.
Like, I mean, what do you guys think? Like, I think they can absolutely latch on to a younger audience, and I think that Kevin Smith would have been wrong to just be like, I'm just gonna market this to 40-year-olds. Like,
No, absolutely. Because if you want the property to thrive and survive, you need to appeal to a newer audience. Because nothing against you, but like that generation is I don't know how to say this politely, but you're slowly
old,
Dying.
archaic.
losing interest. Let's say.
No, we're
Decrepit.
not the main demographic. Like, you'll age out of the demographic, and
Past their prime.
Artifacts.
Fossils.
You'll never be. No, it's a horrible Optimus Prime. It was a horrible Optimus Prime. Actually, the best
Another
time I can
thing
do
in that
Optimus
era?
Prime is when I say Amazon Prime. It's only when I make a dumb joke about Amazon
Why
Prime.
has that crossover not happened?
It's coming out next summer across
See, now I just sound like the movie guy voice.
Yeah.
It's just
Optimus Prime.
or
Amazon.
Amazon Prime.
no, it's better when I say Amazon.
Huh?
Maybe Jeff Bezos is a Decepticon.
Instead of going to
could believe
space, he
that.
needs to build some more
And
Autobots.
he totally controls my voice from here. That's the most realistic theory we've ever had. Sorry, back to Fortnite. You guys think the same? Like, do you think like this
Oh,
is a
absolutely.
viable property, or what do you think they should have done, or like, Chris? You're a good person to ask about this. Like, what did you think? Because you hate everything.
Yeah, I dislike this.
Really? No. Seriously, tell us like what don't you like? Why is this not good for someone that's like you're 25 years old?
I thought from the plot that I saw that they had something really interesting going on with the magic leaving Eternia, how they could have gone into that more, with the techno cult stuff. That was fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah,
they just
Henry
go to
Rollins.
Saturnia, and it's just, it's back to He-Man generic bullshit.
You don't think they're gonna get back to that though? Like, what if they bring? I think they're gonna pay a big
But they
role in
brought the
this.
magic back already, but now Skeletor's in charge of it.
Yeah, so they're gonna need techno guys to fight against it.
Oh,
I guess.
I'm just saying, like, yeah, but you didn't like it minute to minute. Like, I mean, like,
I didn't like it minute to minute.
so what took you away from this? What made you stop? When did you stop watching and like repeatedly through this? Because you suffered through 2.5 hours of this.
I
for us,
binged,
for the pod.
I binged it all 2.5 hours of it and thought it was a waste of time.
So speak for the
Jeff, why are you
neckbeards of the
putting your
world.
head down there. Ooh.
Speak for the neckbeards of the world, and let us know why this sucks.
It's because Teela's the main character.
yes.
No.
No, how did I mean? Did you not like Sarah Michelle Gellar? I think that's a viable
No, I
argument.
thought-
It's not
I thought she was-
because it's Sarah Michelle.
I thought
Gellar.
she was a good character.
So what throws you? Like I really liked Lena Headey, and they're kind of like how they like. I just kept following him.
My biggest complaint is that the gap in time between the first episode and the beginning of the second episode, I think everything in that gap of time would have been much more interesting than the story that we got.
Right. So you're saying even less He-Man
See, I
to
think,
piss off people. even
I
more.
think this is like, well, this is kind of like the Game of Thrones thing, where it's just like, of course, like all these stories that they're telling, or the gaps between are like the heroic age, and we're seeing like the more complicated thing. Like that's why I'm saying like I feel like they're. Like Game of Thrones in this, where and I think he's doing an alright job. But this is reminding me a lot again, like Buffy, where it's like I don't necessarily care about Tila, but she's a perfect primary character to just follow, and I really enjoyed the side characters' plot lines.
Right.
Like like I said before, I think my favorite part of this by far was Orko and
sacrificing
Lynn
himself.
and Evil Lynn's like episode.
Yes.
That whole little arc they had, and how that played into Lena Headey's role, like arc.
Evil Lynn is maybe the best character in the show, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's damn good. Yeah.
I mean, Justin Long goes a long way in that last speech. Like, I thought that was really good.
I don't recall the last time I heard Justin Long in anything.
Right? He really kind of just disappeared for the
He
longest
disappeared
time.
after like the Die Hard movie he was in.
I mean, I'm sure,
He's probably been in other
He's probably
stuff.
on the WB as like a voiceover.
Right.
like
he
but
pops in and out of things, but he's not like in stuff.
So what? He made plenty of money as
Oh, yeah.
Mac.
That's true.
Like he's good. He's solid. Like he kicked the shit out of like 2006. and no, but like I think he wasn't even recognizable as him. Which also but just to say that, like, that took me by surprise. I was like, they just killed Orko. I was like, now you're doing this, and I'm like, absolutely. Take a script out of Transformers '86 and just be like, you have literally nothing but toys, variations. You have no shortage of characters. Send them on their way. You're going to, if it's going to be an adventure, people are going to die. Like, it's only worthwhile. If there's going to be backstabbings and treachery, people are going to die.
Right.
Like I liked it. Like those were good stories that my kid could watch, that I could watch, and
Right.
I think
There's
was solid.
actual stakes to it other than a 22-minute toy commercial where, like, at the end it pretty much resets.
and seeing some of the best VO performances from a ton of big stars. Candyman is in this. Tony Hale.
Phil
right?
Lamar is Hero.
Not Tony Hale. That's the wrong name. That's the guy from Arrested Development, I think.
I'll pull it back up in a second, but
Yeah,
the police are going after that tornado.
Liam Cunningham from Davos from Game of Thrones.
Liam Cunningham.
Is Man at Arms.
Tiffany Smith, Griffin Newman,
Oh,
Alan Oppenheimer reprising his role as Mossman.
Speaking of which, Griffin Newman is
I
Orko's
thought he
nice
wasn't
to see.
reprising it. I didn't think he did Mossman actually originally, but I was maybe I read
I
that
think
wrong.
it says reprising. It could be a mistype or something.
I know that he did a ton of the voices, and he's like 98 or something, or 92 or something.
Kevin Conroy is Merman. Come on.
This
For
is-
the record, anybody who hasn't seen or listened to Blank Check podcast, listen to Blank Check podcast.
What's Blank Check?
Griffin Newman is the host of that, and he's really funny. He's the guy who does Orko.
Yeah.
Oh,
Interesting.
so just a real quick, in case anybody
And he's in the
is,
tech.
I don't want to assume everybody is a super fanboy that might see the show, but like Kevin Conroy and Skeletor's voice, Mark Hamill, are
Who's that?
the original, obviously. Voices of Batman and Joker, respectively, from the animated series from the '90s, and
I've heard of
obviously this is I always feel like we jump over that stuff and don't explain it for anybody that may not have complete nerd knowledge,
Right.
because it's a big deal. But what I was a little disappointed about was the fact that, like, Merman's voice, some people I heard like post like I loved seeing them have that one little interaction, and I'm like, it didn't sound like Batman at all,
Right,
which is
it's
fine.
not-
But I was like, it didn't like make me think of anything, like, because it's not Batman's voice, like.
Yeah.
It was just like the distant knowledge that they both
Yeah.
were in things.
It's like when I saw Clancy Brown playing the detective in Invincible, and I was like, huh, that's Mr. Krabs.
Right.
Yeah.
It has no bearing on anything.
It tastes like a flavored seltzer.
I had the same exact reaction during Star Wars Rebels because he voices like two characters. in
He's
that.
like he's like so many Star Wars characters because he's in the Mandalorian too. He's
and it's all the same voice.
He only does one voice.
So-
Sometimes it's just more cartoony.
So what are some of your favorite or worst, or like, so he talked about like, you just didn't like it then? Like, I mean, like, it sounds like Like it just didn't pace you. It was too low stakes. It was too childish. You don't like animation. Like
I love animation.
Okay, so like what is it too childish for this? It's like too because I get it. It's not. It doesn't captivate you like a Justice League.
It's not Invincible.
Like some of the DC animation, right? Invincible, even I don't think it was on par for, but I think it's definitely a lower audience, right?
I definitely think that the stakes aren't high enough. I mean, they're much better than they were in the original series. But if we go into like that gap between the first episode and the second episode, there's so much bad shit that's gonna happen because all of a sudden this society that's dependent on magic no longer has access to that resource. So shit's gonna get fucked hard.
Okay, but I'm like, but
and I mean,
but are, like,
we
aren't
sort
they
of
just
we sort
building
of
this universe? Aren't we just kind of seeing like a Lord of the Rings? Like there's a central mission. We're seeing the kind of usurping of the. I think what we're seeing is like the first episode is the key. Like it's a total. Classic example of a 80s episode, no stakes. Skeletor tries to take them.
Right.
It doesn't work, but then he
It
reveals
feels
that
like
there's
the
a deeper
final.
thing.
It feels like the final episode to the actual.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, so now we're changing things. Things are going to have stakes. Like, if somebody loses an arm, they're going to lose that arm or get it replaced with cybernetics. Like, it's going to kind of go on, and that's what I think they're trying to build. And this is just the introductory story
Unless you're
that
Moss
kind of
Man.
tells you the fantasy archetypes, right? And now they can usurp those. Like, by the way, some great fucking moments in this. That little girl's head twists around.
Oh, yeah, that was
fucking
fun.
tight, dude. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I
All that
felt
technical
this
stuff was
had-
fantastic.
I thought
That was the
this-
most interesting part to me.
But I think like they had Triclops voiced by Henry Rollins from Black Flag and Henry Rollins Band and Awesomeness and spoken word stuff. Although I'd be wondering where he stands these days politically, but he's usually been pretty cool. But like that was like Fight Club era.
Most, I wager to say most punks are fairly middle of the road, leaning left, except for what's his name from Sex Pistols.
Anyway, Henry Rollins,
Robbie.
Definitely a guy that is interesting in the past and has some cool stuff to look at. Okay, so anyway, the and definitely some cred to this, some punk rock cred at the very least for anybody who's like, this is woke as shit. But like this, I thought it had better moments than for me at the very least, like Bad Batch. Like I think this went way harder than Bad Batch.
I think for sure.
Yeah, like
Bad Batch didn't feel like it had anything at stake. I felt like they weren't knowing what they were doing, except with their outlaws, and it was just the flavor of the week episode.
It felt like they were
Right.
relying totally on like where this was taking place in the universe, as like which was cool in the first episode opening, as you see what the Bad Batch is doing when they do it. But go back and see our archives for coverage of Bad Batch.
Absolutely.
But
Right.
like,
there's a reason we're gonna probably shotgun the rest of the series at the
Yeah,
end
it's
of
a
it.
lot of filler.
yeah, it's like this is this is what I'm saying is like I think He-Man did a darn good job. This is what I'm saying. Like I think the head turning around the techno stuff when the dude's eye, that whole thing was great. I think that killing Skeletor and Adam like in episode 1 was great, and the whole just the whole cascade ending. Tila learns about the thing. Man at Arms is thrown out of the kingdom, which is like his entire. Right, like
His entire character is serving King Randall.
Character, as they clearly established for anybody who's watching the first, is like he's clearly like loyal to the bone, and his first thing is like he's basically he's fucking what's his face from Game of Thrones. He's
Sir Davos.
No, the guy who served for all of them, and Joffrey fires him, and then he serves Khaleesi.
Tyrion?
No,
not Tyrion.
The old guy, the old knight.
The dragon.
He dies in like
The game. Is it the
so
throne?
bad. Okay, listen, all of you people that are yelling at the scream it out.
No, it's
Please
it's
write
fine.
in.
Game of Thrones doesn't matter anymore because season 8 happened.
I know, but like
It's
he'll
all
find
been
it.
a
He'll find it.
fever
Anyway,
dream.
He's his character,
Right.
Like the one who like served loyally, like through everything, even when it contradicted itself, and
Right,
then it's
sort of
still
like Chris
not
with this
rewarded for
podcast.
Yep.
it. There it is.
Everybody hates Chris.
But yeah, so like he's taking on that character. I think that's a really good twist. Orko Sacrifice is like gotta be number 1.
What's that character's name? Scareglow.
Scareglow. I love that. This is Candyman's actor. I got it. Tony. What? It's Tony. Figure that
Jeff
one out.
is staring at his
That
phone.
too. Tony something is the Candyman actor who plays Scareglow, which was like great. I thought the voice was clearly, it wasn't distracting. I loved how the character goes. I love how he beats Orko. I love how that played out. I think they really did a good job of pacing that sequence to like look at like, oh, okay, so he's just the savior. He's just saving them and he's gonna get out. And then I was like, oh, they're not gonna do it. And then I'm just like, oh no, they're gonna do it.
Yeah,
and then
they
he's
really
pacing forward. I'm like, oh, they're gonna do it. And I'm like, okay, like you're killing Orko. And I was like, I knew he was kind of on this path, but I didn't think they would really do it.
Mm-hmm.
And they do. And I loved this whole backstory that was so well done.
The 4th episode's probably the best. In my opinion.
I mean,
Sir Barristan Selmy.
Selmy. Yes, thank you. Sir Barristan Selmy is the character. You can write in and yell at D.
No,
at
write in and yell at
and J
me
podcast
for taking 6 hours to do
Jesus.
that instead of paying attention to my show.
So yeah,
Scareglow is played by Tony Todd.
Tony Todd. I keep saying Tony Hale from Arrested Development. No, Tony Todd. Thank you. Just he's done a ton of voices. Other than that, he's done a ton of character work. Which reminds me of a movie that we need to add to our list. But later. What about you guys? Other moments?
I thought that this might be the thing with the animated thing that we covered that might have the best fight scenes.
Oh, wow, interesting.
I think that
so many swinging people into other people.
There's
and
a lot of
things.
they really went with like the these are 80s action figures. They can do anything and there's no rules, but it's like it works in a way where it's not like okay, oh, somebody has that. It's just like, no, they can just shoot like lasers and lightning bolts from across the world and pick up tanks and nothing matters.
I liked maybe some practical techniques, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
because this seems like it has an animation budget that might be a little bit higher than Invincible's.
It definitely is, just based on paying
really,
the talent alone.
Oh, the talent alone.
Well, I'm saying just for the animation.
Damn good, and Amazon just is like, whatever.
I think that's what's going on here. Like Netflix is seeing the success of smaller shows that are getting gigantic, like Invincible, and they are an animated show with an all-star cast. There's like, fuck it, we'll write you a blank check. Give us a good show that can rival stuff like this. Bring back an
I got
old
nothing but
property.
blank checks here.
Thank you, Mr. Showbiz.
Mr. Hollywood, please.
It's Mr. Showbiz.
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
All right, you don't deserve Hollywood.
Mr. Hollywood,
He
I'm sorry.
sent me.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're a different guy.
Not that Bill Hader schmuck.
Oh, okay. So
You
what's
get
the
God, imagine if we
what's
could actually
the-
get Bill Hader on the
What's
podcast.
the difference between you and Mr. Hollywood? I don't mean to offend, but
Copywriting.
You're
has less-
very
he
offensive.
he
You're
doesn't have
very
as good a hair.
offensive. Everyone says that about you, Troy. But I love you, baby. I love you, baby. Just ask better questions.
So, aside
Excuse
from
me.
Sarah Michelle Gellar's pretty flat voice acting, which it's not the worst I've ever heard.
it's
certainly better
as it goes on. But
It's
in the
certainly
first
better-
episode, it's pretty.
It's certainly
dry.
better than Ronda Rousey as Sonya Blade.
Sonya
in
Blade in
Mortal
Mortal
Sarah
Kombat.
Michelle Gellar is kind of like, oh, is there exposition needed in this scene? Because when we used to do that back in the day, Evil Lynn, that's
Right.
She's not quite an exposition machine, which I think is, I guess, better than what I have to imagine was the case back in the day, which is what Orko probably delivered a bunch of exposition.
Uh-huh.
I have to guess.
I would assume.
I can't remember. But I know like Orko and was clearly always like the plot device of mistakes.
Well, that was when he didn't have too much of a character other than jokes, and he had to earn his keep.
Right. And I like how they give him. It makes sense if you're gonna make the character realistic. You get this backstory where his real name was supposed to be Oracle, and this is a nice. I thought the writing was good in this, and I'm just like, listen, this was pretty good fantasy storyline telling. There's a bunch of good imagery. There was a bunch of good animation. I'm not sure what people were upset about.
I have
Unless
one
it's just
nitpick.
it's missing that X factor of just, I don't know, it didn't pace right, or it felt off. And I think that's what Chris, you're saying, it just felt off to you, which I get. I think I felt more of it as a fan, and I think it spoke to me, and I think that speaks a lot.
Your
to, like, the
your
40
nostalgia glasses carried it a bit.
Right. No, totally covers it, but that means I think they're hitting my
Right.
Yeah.
But it
nostalgia
also, I don't really
balls.
have a whole lot of nostalgia for it.
They gave
and
you a little fondle.
it
They're
worked
tickling my
it worked
nostalgia.
for me pretty well. Like I was pretty like
Did you
deeply
I remember you telling me that you basically grew up at your grandparents' house where they
Right.
had a playroom of 80s toys.
Yeah.
So
they had no
did
kids
you,
in that house.
Did you
It was
have
just-
did you right, like
That
and
raises
when
more
were they
questions.
arrested?
No.
Um
No,
so
they just loved me very much, D, please.
more on the supplemental episode.
But
no, but the
Yeesh.
but this room, did you have like
I
was
wanna-
He-Man one of the
I
prominent
want to
figures in this room?
say I want to say
Sheesh.
I definitely had a lot of like the 2002 looking ones, I think. So I had like newer Man at Arms. I think there was an Orko in there.
I
think
did
I
watch
always,
that.
I think
did
I always
watch that.
assumed Orko was a bad guy because of how he looked in toy form.
Oh, I think they did kind of like make him a little darker looking in that version, but I don't remember. But I do remember enjoying it and trying to get my boy into it. And
The
and it-
only thing I remember from the 2002 series is seeing like the origin of Skeletor. I thought that was cool.
well, that's and the toys. I think I sent you guys something in the group chat where it was like I think they are doing, and maybe I didn't, but like the toys that they have they have a 2-pack of Skeletor and Trap Jaw.
Yes.
That, I think is his name, and which was by far my absolute favorite character as a kid. Just to throw it in there, like he so cool. But they have the 2-pack has basically like Trapjaw does not have the Trapjaw yet, and Skeletor's face is not Skeletor yet, but you can
Yeah. Oh, the
replace it.
origins. You did
So
some-
it's the origins thing, and I'm like, oh well, they're clearly either in the second series or in the second half are going to get into some backstory, and I think they're going to be jumping around, and like they've been doing that.
Is
like
it two parts
they
or is it
kept
3?
He-Man. What I didn't even sorry.
Is it 2 parts or 3?
I think all I know is that they have 5 more episodes to deliver. And some of the previews that you've seen clearly showed. I caught a few. If I could do a deep dive like breakdown of the some of the trailers, I could probably pick out some other characters that are doing it. But they're definitely. I saw Swordsman, I think is his name, who is not been shown yet. I know there's like a ton of characters that we have not seen. Ram Man, Buzz Off, like just the neck guy. Like
Yeah, the only like
So many.
super side character we had was like Stinkor.
Stinker, I had Stinker too. Like you remember, like this figure, Stinkor, like smelled. He had a scent on him, like the character. Like
Oh.
you
They
don't
just
remember?
they just put like a nugget of
They
shit in
had-
the action figure.
Ridiculous gimmicks. You should watch the Toys That Made Us and check out like the absurd like things that they did. But Stinkor absolutely smelled bad, and like you'd have to kind of get close and be like, oh yeah, like Moss Man had like a moss like felt covering.
I saw that. I looked up Moss Man when he showed up because they tried to make him he's kind of a big deal. Like he only shows up twice,
Yeah.
but he like kind of swamp things in the first episode, and then in he's kind of like a moral compass in the last one. Like he's weirdly important.
So speaking on the character designs a bit, I just want to talk to Troy about this.
Uh-huh.
Did Man at Arms in like the later episodes? Didn't he just sort of look like Uther from Warcraft?
A little bit.
And
Or does
and then
Uther from Warcraft look like Man at Arms? Like because we're talking about.
well, here's the thing:
82
they never
property.
had like a bearded Man at Arms like that, did they?
Absolutely, Man at Arms looked like that the entire time.
With the full beard?
He had a mustache. But
Yeah, he
This
only had
was
the
a-
mustache.
This was a little bit different though, with the hat
With him
and
aged up.
or
full
helmet,
beard.
I think when you go like savage any character that has any facial like you're,
Well, I
of
guess to
course
my
you're-
next character,
come on.
Beastman. He just looks like an orc from World of Warcraft.
Well, Beastman's always looked like that.
Beastman
though.
was
Beast-
always-
He looks like Garrosh.
But if you aren't you saying if isn't He-Man before that, these are the same
Yes,
more or less
it-
designs. The
and it-
only character that is significantly, I think, redesigned is Adam, who was basically
Right.
just He-Man in different clothes. And I was like,
Right, is-
even
in
as a
this-
kid
in
on
this
the
let,
show-
let me let me ask this: in the original one, does Beastman look exactly like it did in the later episodes?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, everybody had that general build of He-Man because of the character.
There was a
so they
weird
were a little bit
thing.
more like that exact frame. But yeah, pretty much the same.
That was
Colors
a,
are the same.
It was
They
a weird
really-
thing for me because I was watching the show and like I said, I was into it. And like at one point, Beastman shows up and I didn't watch the show. I know who Beastman is. And when Beastman showed up, I was like, "Oh shit, it's Beastman!" And I was excited. I'm like,
Literally
I have-
my same
I was
reaction.
like, I have no frame of reference
you-
for Beastman.
Wait, what do you mean?
When we were sitting together on the couch, I was like, "Oh shit, is that Beastman?" And you were like, "Yeah, it is." And I was like, "Oh shit."
And Chris, because I think that's a fair point. Is like that I don't think of which again, you didn't know the property, but you know Beastman.
I've never seen He-Man before. I never even had a toy.
When Beastman,
I had no idea who it was.
you were
I just thought it was like an orc.
But were you confused? Like, did you get like so? I thought they established it pretty quick. He's just like, follow you, Evil Lynn.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
he's
has some reason to protect Evil Lynn.
Yeah, he's like the third Bill on the villains list.
I definitely dug it, and I think you can absolutely see. Here's the thing: is like what they based on what they did with Orko and Roboto and Man at Arms and Tila, like all these characters so far. I'm just like 100%. If you do that with Stinkor or Beastman or like one of these, like I'm cool. Let's see it. Let's see the redemption arc of a billion of these ridiculous villains. There's like a whole Trevor Troves of like they were just busting out characters like blah. Give every single one of those a cool like arc. A couple of them longer than others, but you can kill everybody. Like you can literally kill everybody, and then
like
make
part 2 will be like the
that,
Invincible, where there's just fucking blood everywhere.
and they can drink that techno stuff, and you can make more crazy fucking people, and you can make
I'd be
other
so
ones,
down for more of the techno
right?
stuff.
And then there's like wolf people, like all around. Like people are just weird creatures.
Does Evil Lynn survive this series?
I think so.
You think so? I would think that
you're
she would be
right.
like the turn to the good side to stop the villain at the very end kind of character.
And
or
then-
the
and then gets
continued.
Uh-huh.
Or you pull the Game of Thrones and you continue to make her do, which is more her character,
That's
which I
also
think
true.
they'll do. If you, I think she's
she
the
might
big
betray
game.
Skeletor, but she's not gonna turn. She's gonna take Skeletor's place.
Yeah, that sounds better. That sounds like what
She's gonna pull a Boba Fett.
And then you have the new big bad, who is an untapped potential for the female sorceress on the bad side, going against
Yeah,
Tila.
season 2 is all Evil Lynn. Evil Lynn wins the series probably.
Sure.
Right, I think that's the only reason Laura Hetty, Lena Headey, like joins the cast.
She's
She's
got
like,
the-
so I win, right?
I get
got
to be
the
Cersei
best-
again, right?
Bad
Evil
Cersei.
Lynn is gonna be sitting on the
She's
on the throne
100%.
of
She's
King's
just
Landing.
Cersei, but with like a little bit more of a heart of gold.
She's got the best line in the entire show so far too, where they're like, where they're going towards the island or whatever before. I think it's before the merman fight.
Yep.
And
They're heading towards hell.
They're having a conversation. Yeah, they're having a conversation, and she's Tila's like, what's the line? It was, "I've made my peace," and she said, said the warrior on her way to hell, and I was just like, good line.
And then she follows that up with when you either bury your past or you face or you confront it, like either way you face it, and like I think that was clearly what they were going for. I mean, the themes here are absolutely. And this is maybe a good pivot to this question as to like, well, what are the deeper things going on here? Is Kevin Smith just trying to throw cool at the wall, trying to build a universe, or is there anything that you think was a central kind of like story circle kind of journey for this? Because clearly Tila seems to be the crux of it, right?
Yeah.
I think they clearly introduced a bigger Jon Snow-esque kind of story with Adam to be like he gave up heaven. So this is not even Jon Snow-esque, but like there's an interesting place to start. This guy gave up heaven.
Right.
And now he can't get back, and now he's maybe are they going to cripple him? Is he going to be? This is the other thing. Is like, is he not going to be able to walk? I'm wondering about this. They've clearly shown that he's not dead. So where does this go from here? Does this go into? How does this work from here on out? Because I think it opens so many intriguing things. This is like Ned getting his head cut off at the end, and Skeletor's in charge.
It would probably be like a build up for him getting back to health, and it's like, how do we do this without He-Man kind of situation? And then I would feel like you'd probably have an I have the power as in the last episode. I think it would be a first and last episode I have the power.
Because the big thing they introduced in while he's in Preternia is that he's the only person in the Eternities that shows his quote unquote weaker form or his lesser form. And there's
implying
something
that
about
that isn't his lesser form. That's
implying also that like he's not finished. Something like implying the idea that like he's not ready to do that, or he never accepted it fully. Because he was never fully open about it, which like I think
He was in the closet about being He-Man.
Exactly. No. I'm wondering. I'm like, what is the story? Like, what are they going to say? Why would you, in retrospect? Why the hell does he have this dual identity in the first place. Like, it's totally a Superman analogy, but like you would think that in this world of fucking heroes,
Right.
where
Nobody
his dad
would be like,
who is he saving? Who the fuck cares? You're fucking even. Like,
everywhere would go, oh, cool. And then
so I think the answer to that question, if it is answered well, and I think the only way to answer it is well, because you're like, yeah, why are you? What
Right.
is your hang up? What is the bylaws? How do you build the world around this, like the social psychology of this world around that? Like, why would he hide it? What is the established
Probably the
backstory?
direction I could see them going is because he feels as though He-Man's merits are not his own.
Right.
So like everybody respects He-Man as like this brilliant warrior, but nobody respects Adam as a brilliant
I've
warrior.
never done anything. He-Man did all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't think he was doing his own thing. Like maybe
He never came into his own. It was always him acting as another.
Maybe he thought he would do something else, right? Like he wanted to be an artist, or he wanted to do something else, and he never thought of himself as He-Man. So he never, even when he dies, so he never fully embraced it. Because the thing they were leaning at with Tila is that, like, how did the Scareglow kind of put it? Like that you're not scared of being.
You're not scared that you're normal. You're scared that you're incredible. Something like that.
Yeah,
or
like,
you're
so
extraordinary.
so essentially she's not accepting her
fate, her destiny.
her fate, which is where I think everyone's getting this, like, you're just going to make it about her. And I'm like, I don't think, like, I see where it's like, yeah, she's one of the primary characters.
Yeah.
And she's your point of view character, but so was fucking Ned Stark. Like, I don't think they're above killing Tila, which would be fucking awesome. Like, which now he fucking can't, probably, because, like, it'll just be
Right.
like, you just killed her because, yeah, like,
Right,
but, like,
yeah, we
fuck
won.
you. Oh my god, how fucked would that be? Maybe
Speaking of
that's
Tila, I do have one gripe with
Okay.
this entire show. It's only the one gripe,
Sarah
aside from
Michelle
Sarah Michelle Gellar. In the beginning, the reason that she leaves,
otherwise known as two.
she leaves Eternia because she accuses King Randor and Queen Marlena and Man-at-Arms of keeping the He-Man secret from her.
Yes.
But only Man-at-Arms was really aware. As far as I know, Marlena learned on her own, but Adam never knew that she knew. And Randor was completely in the dark. But she revealed it.
Randor?
King Randor.
Okay.
She revealed it. Marlena revealed to King Randor, like, no, you don't get it. He-Man was our son.
I'll actually kind of agree with you on this. I
And
thought
then-
that was a little...
And then the whole reason Tila turns her back is because she says, you all have been lying to me for so long about who
Well,
He-Man
no,
really
Orko
is.
and she gets that. Orko and Cringer know. Like, she's just like, you're all liars.
The majority of
she's
the people
kinda
in that room knew.
And she's kind of throwing it at the mother, too. She clearly knew, at the very least, that, like, she's just... Everybody, I think, fair, like, this is maybe the most hastily done and the hardest to kind of follow without it, but, like, the
Yeah,
backstory of
you
it.
still could have done this scene. It just needed to be...
I get the
slightly
dad
better.
just being like, fuck you, like, as a result of just finding this out and
Right.
reacting. And then I get her being like, fuck you. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's what we're supposed to get. It's done. There's a lot of stuff happening right at the end. Like I said, both Skeletor and He-Man die. The Sword of Power is split in two. Magic is revealed. Like, the Castle of Grayskull is other thing. Like, there's a bunch of things that just happen. Not to mention that she was about to, like, with an added layer of development was that she was about to take over the role of Man-at-Arms.
Yeah.
Right. And, I mean, what Randor does as a result is he banishes Man-at-Arms and says that you're stripped of all your titles, you are disgraced, and then he orders Tila to escort him from the premises. That alone, ordering Tila to escort her father from the castle, that's a pretty good basis for a fuck you, I'm out. You didn't have to add the liars bit. It felt really unnecessary, but then at the same time, that is the whole basis of her not trusting Eternia or magic anymore.
It's a scene that's weirdly necessary.
But
and
it was
just,
handled clunky.
Yeah, a little bit.
I stumbled.
I think what you guys saw is the basic, blandest storyline that you get, and
Yes.
and they introduced the world with a basic bland storyline of basically a variation of Fellowship of the Ring, just or the whole series, just quest, find save Eternia.
Right.
Okay, we do here friends
Axe.
along the way, yada yada yada. Like, it's just basic quest stuff, right? So now you've introduced those characters. Now you're like, why does Kevin Conroy take on the role of Merman? Something you got going for a storyline there? I'd imagine so, right?
Right. You wouldn't pay him to do
Like,
this one-off character.
he's basically Namor or Aquaman at this point, right? So he's not just a one-off, like, squirmy character. He's the the god of he's the emperor of the sea. Like, so now he's like, imagine going in like gritty style, like into him governing the entire like thing, seeing things from his side.
You said gritty style. I imagine everybody's orange and fuzzy.
Gritty style.
And pouring Yingling lagers on
He's
fans.
actually going to be the final boss of the show. It's not going to be Evelyn or Skeletor.
What does Gritty sound like? What's
Gritty
his voice?
as a He-Man character would be.
He doesn't.
Awesome.
He's just completely silent.
He just stares at you with googly eyes.
They also don't have to pay for a voice actor.
That's true.
They do have to pay the mascot though to come back and wear the suit.
Yeah, they're actually just gonna Photoshop him in, just not animated.
I think if he did say anything, it would be "Booyah, Grandma." Booyah.
Could you imagine being the Gritty mascot? You get to act like an asshole to asshole Philly fans, and that's your job, and everyone loves you for it.
You get to be accused of punching a child, and then Philly's just like, "Yep,
that's Gritty."
Dude is very talented. He's very very athletic. It is something to say.
You can't ice skate in a massive suit and not be jacked under it. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, he's just a lot. Anywho, so yeah, Gritty, the He-Man Masters of the Universe character, will be out soon.
We should make that toy. Does anybody have Todd McFarlane's cell phone number?
You need him to be real buff, like
so
normal Gritty body.
Anything else that's kind of like worthwhile, or we're thinking about this, or complaints, or
I think I've aired my grievances. I only had the 2 really. I'm really excited for part 2 of this show to see where it goes.
I have a positive. Yeah. We gotta talk about Roboto.
Roboto.
I was about
Justin
Roboto.
Long's character.
Mm-hmm. He's blah, 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 blah. Cut that.
No, absolutely not.
Add more of that.
I'm gonna put that on loop for like 4 minutes.
I think Robato's closing monologue is probably one of my favorite moments of the series.
Him dying and talking about how he feels fear, and he's like, "Whoa, that's cool. I'm afraid." And like,
what a beautiful death.
Him talking to Tila about like, he calls Tila's sister at one point because like, yeah, I guess Man of Arms made him. Like, he's like a weirdly sympathetic character, and the
adoptive sister, adoptive brother sister,
and his fight scene where he's just like apologizing to all the what were they, Shadow Beasts?
That seemed painful.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about that.
I bet that was painful.
Excuse
trying
me.
to like envious almost of like the pain that they feel. Like I bet that was painful. But that was I dug it. Who was the new kind of the new character, as I understand it, the character that is Tila's friend, Andra, I felt pretty forgettable. She's like a tech girl. She decides in the end she faces her fears. Kind of is more of a soundboard for Robato's arc, I would say. Is more of an exposition kind of explain character from some of the background, and then is used. I think her big moment is realizing that she can turn as the tech person, she can turn the entire place into a sword maker. What are they called? Furnace.
Furnace, yeah.
No,
a forge. And then the forge.
Thank you,
the
Chris.
forge, and they use that to reassemble the 2 halves of the sword. Although this show was surprisingly quick. I felt like they could have done the 2 swords in like that could have been season 1. And then you do season 2 separately. So
I think they were just establishing that it can be split and it can be used as some kind of power conduit, and it could be. I think maybe they'll.
Do you think it's going to split again?
It could end with Tila and He-Man both being He-Man.
Yeah,
with one of them having each half of a sword.
Like, this is where I'm like, I don't remember or really understand at all what She-Ra, how that got really connected. I feel like it's pretty easy to alter or do whatever with, but I'm also like, they did a whole other She-Ra show that's clearly not
related
by the same creators and everything, and I'm like, but it was really well received. My boy really liked that, and I'm like, man, I wish there was a way to kind of like bring that in.
I thought you meant your friend when you said my boy, and I was like, yeah, my boy, and then I was like, oh wait, you actually mean like your kid, your boy,
my child,
my child.
Yeah, so
little D.
Yeah, little.
No.
Little D.
God, that's just, moving on.
Moving on. So I'm excited for it. I think the haters, fine, hate. Like, dude, fine, don't watch it. Like, you don't need to hate post.
Be more like Chris.
I
hate
don't
it for actual reasons.
Thank you, Troy.
As somebody that was really like I'm a big Figures fan. I really enjoyed this as a kid. For somebody that's right in that demographic of nostalgia, I wasn't waiting for my He-Man reboot.
Right.
Like, and I feel like a bunch of people were like, well, there's a He-Man reboot. Well, fuck that. They made it there's more like it really looks like you're just saying it, like, fine, you don't like it, big deal. When Kevin Smith's complaint, I think was just that, like, when he called it like review bombing, and they're just like, it's not review bombing, we just didn't like it. I'm like, yeah, then just don't say anything. Like, you don't fine, don't watch it, but like, you are absolute. And the exact thing that he said on his podcast was basically like, yeah, there's a bunch of people talking about it, and we have this many people and this many people, and they're clearly like, they're all watching it, and it's like number 7 Netflix this week, whatever. It's a fucking animated show.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you. Like, what do you?
That's
like,
the only.
Screw you.
That's the
whatever.
silver
I think
lining.
it's gonna be fine.
That's the silver lining to all that stuff, because it's like everyone says, "Oh, this sucks" and whatever. It's like, oh well, now I have to watch it to find out.
Yeah. Now there's a hashtag like
Fucking HBO's Harley Quinn TV show did a joke about that for a cold open, where it was these 2 fat neckbeards sitting on a couch. One of them had a shirt that said "Release the Snyder Cut," hilariously enough, and they were like, "Oh, this shitty Harley Quinn show. Let's watch it and see how shitty it is." And I'm just like, "Oh, that's fucking
I will take
way to
Kevin
poke
Smith
fun at yourselves."
versus Snyder any day.
dude. That'd be hilarious."
Yeah. Fucking man.
Battle of the Nerds.
We should all run down to Red Bank and check out Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash together. Just to show
Oh,
our
absolutely.
support.
We'll make a day trip.
Except Chris, because you didn't like it.
Except Chris. So is that it? Any more final thoughts? Because there's one thing I wanted to touch on real quick
Go
before
for
we
it.
finish the podcast, and that is the Scarlett Johansson thing.
Okay, go for it. I actually haven't heard about
did
this.
you read it up while you were
I did.
also looking at the
This is the part where you
original
get to know
RuneScape
us as
stuff,
people.
Jeff? I saw
So
that.
It's because my computer doesn't have internet, but the pages I left open are still open, so my cooking guide for RuneScape is still open. Doesn't matter. So the point is,
Loser.
Scarlett Johansson has filed a lawsuit against Disney, alleging that they did not, because it wasn't a uniquely theatrical release for Black Widow, she's not getting
I'm
paid
100%
what she
on her
should have
side
been
for
paid.
this. I think they
Yes.
they 100% knew what they were doing. They knew this would activate this clause in the law, like, thing. I think it's just. I don't think she's doing shit. I think this is like.
So wait, what?
If I
What?
don't do this,
So-
I fuck over everybody who has a clause.
Here's
in a
the
contract.
here's the
Like,
exact
So,
article.
hold on, Troy. What were you
I'm
asking?
so dumb.
I haven't heard about this at all yet.
I'm
so
gonna
I
read.
was-
I'm gonna read directly from the Wall Street Journal.
Okay.
So Scarlett Johansson, star of the latest Marvel movie Black Widow, filed a lawsuit Thursday in L.A. Superior Court against Disney, alleging her contract was breached when the media giant released the film on its Disney Plus streaming service at the same time as its theatrical debut. Ms. Johansson said in the suit that her agreement with Disney's Marvel Entertainment guaranteed an exclusive theatrical release, and her salary was based in large part on the box office performance of the film.
Okay.
So she said, what she gets paid for the film at the end of the day is based largely on how it did at the box office, but that's a number we don't have now because it released simultaneously on streaming.
So they can give her
I
kind
believe
of
what
any-
her attorney claimed was like $50 million in damages.
Something like that. And to be fair, maybe that's true. Who knows? But I do know that for the role of Black Widow up front, she was only paid $20 million. Which,
Yeah.
I mean, $20 million's a lot of money, but like as far as a Marvel movie goes, that's like nothing.
Sure, for like one of the main characters. Like,
Exactly. Like for Scarlett Johansson,
She's
one
like-
of the biggest
she's
Avengers.
like 5th build in the entire universe.
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
So she
take
only
every
got
penny, Scar.
she only got $20 million for that. That's ridiculous.
Take every penny.
Absolutely.
every penny, Scar.
Disney is alleging that this is
You're
like,
done. She's done.
Dis-
She's good, right?
Yeah, she's not.
Character's dead.
She's not
You're done.
pissing anybody off.
So-
Absolutely. Anybody that looks at this as sour grapes or anything else besides the fact that, like, she had this clause, she's supposed to make every effing dollar. If it's not for COVID, this doesn't happen. And
So
she
here's-
doesn't. She doesn't. Like, come on, dude. Come on.
exactly. And
She
you
absolutely would have made a ton more money if
And-
they didn't do this. And this was not what she signed on for. She has a literal clause in her contract. She deserves this every.
And who is
Bit.
it? And who is excited to be like, oh, it's $30 on Disney Plus? Who is?
I wasn't,
Yeah, no.
and we're not discussing what happened because of that.
Yeah, don't admit to that on
Sounds like
live
we
air.
should do that.
So I want to read this part because this is the interesting part. The suit could be a bellwether
Write
for
in if you want to know what Chris did.
the suit could be a bellwether for the entertainment industry. Major media companies are giving priority to their streaming services in pursuit of growth and are increasingly putting their high-valued content on those platforms.
You're just a corporate shill if you're like you're just a corporate shill if you're like no, well, she should. You're a neckbeard corporate shill. Like
And
good for you.
it's not like they couldn't have easily baked
Well,
this into the contract because you have to pay
it's-
$30 on the streaming service on top of already your subscription.
But Disney's
So
hurt.
it's not like
but
it's
Disney's
hard to
hurting.
factor in.
This is nonsense.
Disney's
Her,
hurting.
she has a clause exactly for this scenario. Screw all of you. Like,
break a contract,
rake
get
it in.
sued.
Also,
girl.
the cherry on top of the whole sundae is the suit notes that annual bonuses for Disney chairman Bob Iger and chief executive Bob Chapek are tied to the performance of Disney Plus as a whole, and cites that as further motivation for putting Black Widow on the service.
Damn you, Bobs!
Wait, what happened?
So Bob Iger and Bob Chapek, the chief executives at Disney, they get bonuses depending on the success of Disney Plus. So Scarlett Johansson's suit alleges they put Black Widow on Disney Plus at the same time to make Disney Plus more appealing and give those two gentlemen much larger bonuses. So they're screwing her over.
People can just join. They can pay whatever it costs a month, right? What does it cost a month?
Yeah.
It's like,
15,
I think it's like
15?
7.
Maybe, yeah, isn't it? Like, even if it's like one of the 15 ones, like it's $15. They pay $15. They know that August is gonna have like 3 or 4 movies they're gonna watch. They do it. Like they pay this much for that many movies. I'm not saying it's not like a business plan that can be followed and whatever, but like, yeah, that's why ScarJo has, in case the winds of finance change, she has a clause in her contract to cover this, and she can sue Disney to get it, and they will settle with her, and she'll make her money.
Aren't the Luca
They're
guys?
It's gonna be great.
aren't-
That's the American way.
They're currently
Like,
fighting
go
her
ScarJo.
tooth and nail,
Isn't-
saying that she has no ground to stand on.
Isn't the Luca?
They're
Isn't
gonna
the
lose.
Luca?
They're gonna
Pixar-
settle.
I certainly hope so.
I mark my words. They're gonna settle. Tune in next week.
Isn't the
on TB&J.
Luca? Isn't the Luca Pixar team also like thinking about doing something too because they were put on Disney Plus for free?
Yeah, so that's another thing because they allege that their movie would be bigger and at least more critically acclaimed if it had been a box office only release instead of coming to the streaming service at the same time, especially for free. It wasn't on their Premier Access program the way Black Widow was.
Right, because I would have been excited to go to the theaters after
And it's-
getting vaccinated to see a Pixar
Yeah,
movie.
and as a filmmaker, you measure your success based on like your box office growth. That's how we realized like, oh, Titanic and Avatar were amazing because they made billions in the box office. We don't have that same metric now for Luca because it's split.
Right.
And while the COVID pandemic has increased this release, and granted, this is a consumer-friendly practice, it's not exactly a content creator-friendly practice.
Yeah, there needs to be some sort of.
They need to reinvent
line.
their contracts, and especially because Disney was very upfront with talking to Emma Stone about the release of Cruella on Disney Plus. They did not talk to Scarlett Johansson.
Ooh, I smell a. I smell a repeat of the 2007 writer's strike.
You think that if you're going to talk to Emma Stone about putting Cruella on Disney Plus at the same time it releases theatrically, why would you not talk to Scarlett Johansson? That's a weird lead.
That wasn't me. That was D.
Okay, it just felt like a weirdly placed applause. But it's Disney Plus, not Disney Plus, but Disney is kind of being.
Hey, that's pretty good.
All right, we're just gonna play with some.
Why do you have to ruin it, Troy?
One too many. Come on. It's amateur hour over
So
here.
obviously, D has made his opinions very well known. How do you guys feel? ScarJo gets paid.
Well, if you're asking me, I'm just kidding.
on the face of it, yeah, I don't see why. I really don't see why Bob Iger needs more money in general.
I always try to look for the shades of gray, especially in lawsuits like this, but this kind of seems pretty
We're
black
not
and white.
pretty
talking
one-sided.
about the fucking gray book line, okay? We're not. 50 Shades of Grey is not what we're talking about tonight.
Did you know there's
yeah,
a
with,
book?
another
you know,
time.
with the Red Room,
Yeah, there's a book.
the origin of the Red Room.
There's a book called 50,000 Shades of Grey, and when you open it up, it's just the words "Shades of Grey" printed 50,000 times on.
Is that what like Human Centipede Final Sequence is like?
There you go. Yeah.
Now it's earned.
Clap for yourself. Chris, any thoughts about the ScarJo lawsuit?
Disney agreed to it. It's fucking written in a contract.
Is there anybody with? Is there like
do
arguments
you know?
online?
Do you know who's
for
never gonna
Disney?
support her? Jason Momoa, because he's a little fucking bitch.
No, he sucks.
Like Jason Momoa is gonna be like. That's a deep cut. Jason Momoa is gonna be like.
well, he
I think
always,
ScarJo should read her contract, and he's gonna
always,
sound
he walks out.
so much dumber than I just made him out to
He
be.
always walks out and he goes, hey, he did that whole commercial years ago where he went, hi, I'm Jason Moe and I love huge businesses.
Oh,
and that was a really
swore
weird,
I thought you were gonna
uh,
say Cox, and then you were like businesses, and I was like, oh,
No,
I get it now.
loving big cock is not something we can make fun
Yeah,
of people
that's
for.
that's
It's
fine.
not, but I feel
It's
like Jason
always-
Momoa will be offended by it
Mm.
because he's really. you know,
With his
like
deep bro energy.
he's.
I hear he
He's a
hated
guy
He-Man
that's
Revelation.
very much so. I keep saying this, but I'm just like, oh, he looks really good in Dude. If like I watch Dude, it's probably gonna be because Jason Momoa's character looks cool. I love
You just have to
not
suppress
Jason
it.
Momoa, 'cause
Just
he's a
lie.
bitch, but like, he's
You
got a
love
lot of
everything around Jason Momoa.
I just spent the last couple
Except for
minutes
Rockman.
scouring the internet looking for anybody defending Disney. I can't find a single
Yeah,
person.
that's what I
Disney.
figured. It doesn't.
Everyone is on Scarlett Johansson's side.
Except Disney.
And the biggest
Scarlett-
tepid pull
Scarlett-
was why Disney didn't just give her like $25 million right now to avoid this bad press.
Because Disney's run by idiots, money-grubbing idiots.
They're
Yeah.
like, nah, we'll settle in $50 grand.
Disney's official stance is that it's very sad to see this because they are doing the streaming service release to help people with the COVID-19 pandemic.
I
Dave
hope
Bautista. Dave Bautista was like
Yeah.
a big.
They're trying to take a high road here, and I'm just like, oh, yeah.
No.
This has everything to do with COVID-19 as like
No.
fucking the price of tea in China. Get the fuck out of here.
Dave Bautista is like always a voice that talks about this stuff every single time it happens. I say we just need to start doing a thing where if there's a controversy at Disney, we just go, all right, if you want to do this, Bob Iger, you have to beat Dave Bautista in a fight.
You have to fight Dave
Yeah, you have to
Bautista.
get into the ring with Dave Bautista.
And he's
in-
invisible.
He's in the Drax.
No, that's John Cena.
No,
well-
you've never seen Endgame. Or Infinity War, actually. Sorry.
I
everybody.
see. It was a Marvel.
What if
movie
you get
joke.
John Cena versus Dave Bautista as Drax?
You're really just gonna just right into the mic. Just give it a slurp. There
He
you
was
go.
so good.
Thank you. Any other hot takes about that, or are we done here? Perfect. Okay. I would like to thank my partners in crime, Troy Brittingham,
Actually, I have one more thing to say.
Chris Carroll,
Stop it. Get some help.
and D, of course, as always.
You're welcome.
Thanks for suggesting
welcome.
this show because I would have absolutely passed it over had not you been very insistent. Like, no, we're fucking watching it.
Yeah, I'll watch the second season
I
when it comes
basically
out.
glued his eyes open.
Second half of season 1,
Fuck off.
but yeah.
Unless there's more women in it. Is that the drop?
Till
for
next
women?
time, everybody.
Yeah, that concludes this episode of the TB&J podcast. Thank you all for listening. If you would like to tell us something, like what your favorite shows are, what we should watch next, or just bitch at us for something we got wrong, please email us at tbandjpodcast@gmail.com. And I've been your host, Jeff Ackerman, and thank you all for being here.
Hit that theme song.
See you next time. Bye!